What is up, everybody? We are back today to talk about a new released A24 movie, which there's been a few of them this year that have been released, and more to come later on in the year. As most of you know, I love A24. I'm a huge fan of the production company. I do an entire series on my YouTube channel called the A24 Archive, where I've been going back through their whole filmography, watching every single movie that they've done, which I just recently watched their 40th film. I'll be releasing reviews on those soon. It's been a really cool experience to see how they've built as a production company. But typically, I will go watch most of the films that they produce because I feel like they do a really great job of giving directors creative freedom and letting them make whatever the hell they want. And the film I'm going to be talking about today, I was really excited to see because it was directed by a woman named Kelly Reichardt. And if you didn't see, a couple of months ago, I released a review for a film called Old Joy of hers that was streaming on the Criterion channel. I absolutely adored it. It was one of those films that just like, you watch a movie that really kind of just changes the way you think about cinema, and that's what Old Joy did for me. It really was kind of like looking at slice of life cinema in a way that was just so unique and fresh, and something that I really appreciated a lot. And so I've been really excited to watch more of her films, and unfortunately I haven't really taken the time to watch any of her other work outside of this film that was just released, but I'm looking forward today to talking about Showing Up, her newest film. Showing Up is directed by Kelly Reichardt. An artist on the verge of a career-changing exhibition navigates family, friends, and colleagues in the lead up to her show and finds that the chaos of life becomes the inspiration for more great art. Really didn't know what to expect of this movie other than I felt like it was going to be more slice of life, Kelly Reichardt-esque style, and it absolutely was, and I absolutely loved this movie. I thought it was fantastic. It definitely hit a lot of personal notes for me, especially someone who just went to film school and did that whole song and dance, because this all takes place pretty much on an art school campus for most of the film, and it's definitely not going to be a film for everyone. It's very slow paced. It's much more about like menial, mundane interactions that people have, and it's building on this larger idea that I'll talk about a little bit more in the film. The movie stars Michelle Williams as Lizzy. She lives in this apartment that the complex is run by Jo, played by Hong Chow, who was in The Whale recently. She was my favorite part of The Whale, even though I didn't like that movie all that much. They both are artists that went to the same school, and Jo is much more of like a free-spirited, I do whatever I want, whenever I want type of a person. And at the beginning of the film, Lizzy is like upset because her hot water heater is not working. You can tell her life just really isn't going the way that she wants it to go. It's like every little thing just kind of gets in the way of her being able to pursue her art 100%. And then you go to the school campus where we find out that her mother is one of the leads in the department and still kind of just treats her like she's her boss. She has a relationship with her dad, but it feels kind of estranged past her parents' divorce. We're introduced to her brother later on in the film, who seems to have mental health issues. He doesn't seem to be all there. And then you're introduced to a lot of her different colleagues, including one played by Andre 3000, who gives a really great performance in this. And throughout the movie, most of it is Michelle Williams' character Lizzy trying to pursue her art and trying to make her art, and scenes of her being distracted by things or menial, mundane crap in life that just gets in the way from you 100% being able to pursue what you want as an artist. And that is really the crux of the film. It's not like there's any enormous blowouts in this movie or like big Hollywood schlock scenes that are like, oh, really over the top. This feels like real life. There's a lot of these beautiful sequences that Kelly Reichardt shoots of just people in art school like doing the thing that they're passionate about. So you have people working with these like giant looms creating art pieces, people in hallways like painting on the floor, little conversations that people are having that you don't always necessarily hear the dialogue. And being at film school and graduating film school, I was around that a lot. Saw a lot of people just in hallways shooting things, or like talking up scripts, or like walking through some of the art buildings and watching people just drawing in the hallways. And it's clear that Kelly Reichardt is someone who loves art and obviously pursues art as a career. And she's someone who's really made a name for herself in the independent scene. But obviously being a woman in that scene is difficult enough just to kind of get your foot in the door. And she has continued to push the envelope for what is possible in cinema. And so this movie looks to be like her kind of putting the internalized struggle that she has at the forefront for any artist, right? Because I think there's part of the film that looks at the idea of acceptance, where we all want some kind of person to give us like the, hey, you did a really good job at that, or hey, your art impacted me in one way or the other. And that a lot of times when you are a working artist, that everyone else, if you're surrounded by artists, are so focused on what they're doing that they don't take a second to acknowledge the thing that you're doing, and that can be a very isolating existence. And I also think there's this really beautiful scene in the movie where her dad comes to view one of her art pieces. It's a very quick scene. The camera lingers on her artwork and the expression that he has reacting to her artwork, and it's such a quick moment. And I think it really says something about how when we spend hours and hours and hours doing something and putting art out there and making something for other people, that all we want is for it to resonate with them. We want it for them, for something to speak to them. And it's a brief interaction, right? You have a very limited moment, especially when it comes to viewing a piece of art, not necessarily like a 2.5 hour movie, but just like a piece of art that someone looks at, and just how fleeting that moment can be, or that reaction from that person can be. And then you're on to spending hours and hours and hours of your life doing the next thing in hopes that you could get recognized and make it in that industry. And I think that's interesting because even for me, who's someone that puts out YouTube videos, I essentially put out a YouTube video every single day. And the amount of time and effort and energy I put into watching the movies, researching the content, staying up to date and knowledgeable on, cinematographical techniques, all the things that I love and I'm passionate about. And, I get to try to hold you guys' attention for 6 or 7 minutes in hopes that you get something out of what I'm talking about, more than just like I liked this movie or I didn't like it, in hopes that we can open up some interesting conversation. And the part of why I love doing this is sharing with other people and really like engaging with the community, because it's something I love and it's something I love to share in with other people. And sometimes those moments are very fleeting, and so the moments that you do get are really beautiful. And I think Kelly expresses that in this film in a way that is so incredible and that feels so realistic. All the performances in this thing from top to bottom are amazing. Michelle Williams especially, like I could just watch Michelle Williams paint a wall and I would be entertained. She is just such a phenomenal actress. Everyone that shows up in this thing is absolutely incredible. I love some of the varying cinematography in this film. There's really cool sequences where the camera just kind of like handheld glides through, looking through like sketches of her ideas for her clay sculpting that she's doing. And it was really cool to see that contrast with how the rest of the film was shot. And it really feels kind of like at the root of what I loved about Reichert's Old Joy. There's a lot of similarities in those two. I think for most general audiences, the pacing of this film will probably put them off to the rest of the movie, because it's not like a high energy, something's happening every 5 minutes. It's very slow paced and it's very thoughtful. And I love movies like that. So for me, this was something I was eating up the entire runtime. I'm actually really looking forward to watching more of Kelly Reichardt's material, because she just seems to be an absolutely amazing human being that really brings some light into some interesting ideas about being embedded in the art world. And I really loved this movie a lot, and I'm glad I got a chance to check it out. So if you've seen Showing Up, did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I thought this movie was great. I really loved it. I thought the performances were all fantastic. I thought the cinematography was really great, and it had some really interesting ideas that I enjoyed that it explored. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, it helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.